Welcome back to the Financial Freedom Show. My name is Rob Berger, and today we're talking about things like the rule of 36,036. Bet you never heard of that one. Actually, what we're talking about is how and why to automate your finances and how it can actually help you build wealth. If you're new to the channel, as I said, my name is Rob Berger. I don't know what I am. I'm a former deputy editor at Forbes. I'm a blogger, I'm a retired trial attorney, I'm an investor, a father, soon to be a grandfather, by the way, in a couple of months. That's exciting. And a husband she's stuck with me for 32 years and counting. And in this channel, I try to put together content that helps you achieve financial freedom as quickly as possible. So if you haven't subscribed, please do so. I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. That's a big milestone for me. I only need like 98,000 more. Okay, automating your finances. One of the important things when we do anything with our money, and really in life for that matter, is to truly understand why we're doing it, because why we do something will help inform how we do it. So when you think about automating finances, the first thing that may come to mind is, well, convenience. Don't want to miss paying a bill, so if it's paid automatically, that's helpful. And those are really good reasons to automate your finances. But I think the most important one is it can actually help you build wealth. And once we look at it from that perspective, we do things, I think, in a little different way. So what we're going to do is I'm going to walk through the tools that I think you need to have in place to properly automate your finances. Then we're going to talk about simplifying things, because I think that's always good in this crazy world. And then we're going to talk about how to actually go about automating, what things should be automated. Then we're going to get to the rule of 36,036 and actually also going to look at the rule of 752 and 857. These are actually rules that I talk about in my book, Retire Before Mom and Dad, but no reason to go out and buy that thing. I'm just going to tell you what they are right here and now. And then I'm going to show you a spreadsheet during this video that I'll give you access to. It's a silly, simple spreadsheet, but it helps you calculate these rules. And also going to show you my credit card rewards portfolio. Longtime viewers know that I don't spend the credit card rewards we get. I save and invest them. I'm going to show you that portfolio. So far it's gone up in value for the most part. That's good. But it's related to this whole idea of automating your finances. So let's get right to it. And I want to begin with sort of the 5 tools that I think you need to properly automate your finances. You probably already have most, if not all of these, but just so we make sure we got the right tools to work with. The first one, of course, is a checking account or some other account that you pay all your bills with. I think for most people, it's a checking account. I know some folks are using sort of those neobanks, those sort of banking alternatives like Aspiration is, I think, a good example. They're actually offering a $100 bonus, and they pay up to 1% APY. I don't actually use them, probably because it's just sort of a hassle to change banks, something I'll talk about in a minute. But if you're looking for a bank, I think Aspiration is a good option. Some folks even use a prepaid debit card, not the way we've ever gone, but there's tens of millions of unbanked individuals in our country. There are actually some decent prepaid debit cards that don't charge a lot of fees and have a lot of banking features like online bill pay, depositing checks with your mobile app, a high yield savings account. So they've sort of come a long way. Believe it or not, it's an industry I've monitored for over a decade. I don't really know why. It's just what I do. I'll leave links to good prepaid debit cards, to Aspiration, and to good checking accounts. You're probably already set up, but if you're not, you'll see those in the description below. But you need a checking account, right? You need a way to pay your bills. That's the first thing. You need a savings account, and here I recommend an online savings account for the simple reason that they pay the highest yields. They're not very good right now. Usually about 50 basis points is what you'll find, but they pay the highest interest rates and they don't charge fees. So that's the second thing that you need. You need at least one investment account. You may have more. I think for a lot of folks, it's through your work. So you have a 401k, 403b, or maybe you're with the government, you have the TSP through savings plan. But you need an investment account. And if you have something available through work, the great thing about that is, one, it's easy to just enroll. And you can start saving with almost nothing. I mean, there's generally no minimums. You can save very small amounts if you're just getting started. You may also have an IRA somewhere, of course, outside of your employer at Vanguard or Fidelity or wherever. You may have one at one of the investing apps like M1 Finance. but or Betterment, Wealthfront. But you need, if you have that, you're going to want that. That's going to be part of this. Could be an IRA, could be a taxable account. You also, I think, you need a budgeting app. Now, this isn't directly tied to automation, but I think it's important because it helps you obviously track your spending, know where your money's going. The best ones, I think, also track all of your investments. For me, I use Personal Capital. It's free. I think it's the best one out there. But there are other good ones. I think YNAB, You Need a Budget, is an excellent option if you're really focused just on the budgeting piece. You don't have a lot of investments you want to track. One I've been experimenting with is Tiller. Tiller actually uses Google Sheets, and it automatically pulls in all of your transactions, but you're looking at it in Google Sheets. So if you really love spreadsheets, Tiller, I think, might be a good option. I'm sort of experimenting with that. I'm also sort of experimenting with Countabout, which I think is a pretty neat offer. I'll actually do a video on that sometime in the future. But again, whatever you use, maybe use Quicken, maybe use Mint, you definitely want a budgeting app. And then the last thing that I think is really important is a rewards credit card. And here, for our purposes, you need one that pays a really good reward on everyday purchases, not just sort of a bonus reward for travel or eating out, but for things like paying a utility bill. And so here, I think the minimum, if you have a decent credit score, is a card that pays at least 1.5%. There are plenty of them. There are, of course, some that pay 2%. I use the Citi Double Cash card, but there's a Fidelity Visa that pays 2%. Alliant Credit Union has one that actually pays 2.5%. That's the good news. The down news, the not so good news, they do charge an annual fee. I think it's $99. They also cap your rewards at $10,000 a month. Not a problem for most of us, maybe a problem for you. I've also found their website incredibly frustrating to use. I can't redeem my cashback rewards without calling them, and that drives me crazy. There's some downsides there. Whatever you choose, you need a rewards credit card. I'll leave a link to some of my favorite ones in the description below. So those are sort of the primary tools that you need. Now, before we get to actually automating our finances, one thing I'll say, you really want to embrace simplicity with all of this. And in fact, I'm really focused on that right now. We're actually moving all of our accounts from Citibank to Bank of America. There's a number of reasons for that. Fees are one of them. I'm a little frustrated with Citibank's business side, and that may not affect you if you don't own a business and have a business account. I do. And that's gotten kind of frustrating. I've actually been with Citibank for like 3 decades. And I like Citibank. And, if someone said to me that they're going to go bank at Citibank, I'd say that's terrific. One of the things I like is there are free ATMs in every 7-Eleven. And it's not that we hit an ATM very often, but, when you need one, I mean, there's a 7-Eleven about everywhere, at least where we live. But we're switching to Bank of America, and we're going to have our personal accounts there. We're going to have our business account there. And we're going to go with the rewards credit card that they offer that can get us up to 2.62% on every single purchase. Now, there's some things you have to do to get that. I'll save that for another video. But the key real takeaway is you need a rewards credit card. And I think you want one that pays at least 1.5% on every purchase. That's going to be really, really important. Okay, so once you have all that, what do we do? Step one, and you may already have this, but you need direct deposit set up, right? You don't want to be getting a paper paycheck from your employer. So you want to set up direct deposit to the checking account that you've set up. It's easy to do. Your employer can walk you through it. All you need is your routing number and your account number. Routing number is a 9-digit number. It's unique. It's part of the banking system in the United States. It identifies your bank. And of course, your account number, well, it identifies your account, and you don't want to get that one wrong when you set up your direct deposit. But that's really critical. One thing you can do, you can set up multiple direct deposits. So most employers will allow you to say, send whatever, 90% of your paycheck to your checking account and say 10% to your savings account. You can even, by the way, divide your tax refund up into and have it direct deposited in up to 3 different accounts. A lot of people don't know that. I tend to not go to that trouble. You can if you want to. Some folks do that with their paycheck because by sending it directly to the savings account, never seeing it in their checking account, they find it easier not to spend it. I get that. But what we do is first direct deposit into the checking account, and then, and this is important, you can automate your savings by having it go automatically from your checking account to, let's say, an online savings account. That would be ideal if you're saving for an emergency fund, for example. I mentioned I really like online savings accounts, and I mentioned the yield. It's higher than, say, at Citibank or Bank of America, for example. But the other thing I like is it's separate from where I keep my spending money. And that helps me sort of not spend it on a whim. It actually takes a couple of days to get that money transferred back, say, to your checking account so that you can spend it. Some would see that as maybe a bug, a downside. I kind of see it as a feature. It helps me not do dumb things with our money. But you can set that up. So you could have it, say, the day after payday, have it automatically send $100 from your checking account to your savings account or whatever amount. That's the second thing. You want to make sure you're actually automating your savings, whether it's for an emergency fund, buying a home, maybe you're saving for a vacation, whatever that is, you want to automate it. That's step 2. Step 3 is you want to automate your investing. And here there's a couple of things to think about. If you're saving with your employer, say through a 401k or other workplace retirement plan, that's the easiest automation because it comes out of your paycheck and before you get your direct deposit into your checking account. So that's like the gold standard of automation. All you have to do is set the amount you're going to contribute and then, of course, where you're going to invest it. If you're also contributing to an IRA or a taxable account, you have to set that up on your own. But again, it's very easy to do, whether you're using a Vanguard or Fidelity, Betterment, some other robo-advisor, an investing app like Robinhood or M1 Finance. Whatever you're using, you can go into each of these things and set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to your investment account or accounts. If maybe you're contributing a little to an IRA and a little to a taxable account, whatever, you can do that. You can pick the day of the month. I always like to pick it a day after payday, and you can do it once a month, twice a month. I mean, really a lot of flexibility. But the key is you want to set that up so that it's automated. All right. Now, the next thing has to do with your monthly bills and credit cards. I want to put everything I can on my rewards credit card to maximize the rewards I can earn. And in fact, you're looking at the screen now of my portfolio. I've got this in Morningstar. This is my portfolio that's been generated solely from credit card rewards. You can see we're in the middle of January 2021. I've been doing this, I would say, for about 2 years. And our balance is almost $17,700. It's mainly Bank of America stock. I actually just bought some Wells Fargo stock. I bought more than this, but this is the portion of the purchase that relates to my credit card rewards. And, this is small dollars every month. I might generate a few $100s a month in credit card rewards most of the time. There have been a few months where we had some big purchases that I could put on a credit card and we generated more cash back. There have been some sign-up bonuses. I put those in here. We use Rakuten, formerly Ebates, and I think that's a great thing to use. One of the things they have, by the way, is you can book hotels through Rakuten. And so like if you have business travel and you book your own hotels, you book it through Rakuten, you get cash back. You pay with a cashback credit card, you get cash back. So some of this is from business travel. And so that helps a lot. And I'll leave links to all that in the description below. But here's our portfolio. And the reason I did this was frankly to demonstrate the power of saving relatively small amounts of money over time. I suspect if I'm on this rock long enough, before I go to that great big mutual fund in the sky, this could be 100 grand or more. And it's not changing my lifestyle, nothing. Anyway, that's one of the reasons I sort of harp on, one, saving small amounts of money. It's important. And in this case, cashback rewards. So what you want to do is go through all of your monthly bills. I mean, everything from Hulu to YouTube TV to your gym membership, all of your utilities, to the extent that they will take a credit card. They don't all do. To the extent they will, automate that so that one, it's paid automatically. You don't have to do anything. But two, it charges to the right credit card that earns you the most rewards. Now, there are some exceptions. For example, with Verizon, they actually give you a monthly discount if you don't use a credit card. They want to avoid the fees. And so I save more by using a debit card with Verizon than I would if I used a credit card. So there are certainly some instances where a credit card is just not going to work. but you want to automate as many bills, monthly services, subscriptions, everything that you can to your rewards credit card. Again, you get the simplicity, it happens automatically, you're not going to miss a payment, but you also get those rewards. And then hopefully you save and invest them like I do and you build up a pile of cash. Obviously, for those bills that won't accept a credit card, you can set up a payment through a debit card or your checking account. I do that as well. It doesn't earn any rewards, but I get the convenience and simplicity and avoid missing a payment. You got to make sure you got the money in the checking account when that bill gets paid. By the way, I also automate the payment of all of our credit cards. So those happen automatically as well. Again, got to make sure you have the money in the checking account, but we pay ours off in full every month. So that takes care of itself. Now, the final step, and I've sort of alluded to it when we were looking at the portfolio, is you want to make sure that you take all of your rewards, if you're going to do this, and invest them. Now, that's a process I haven't been able to figure out how to automate, but I'm really motivated to do it. I love it. At the end of every month, I go into all of my accounts. How much cash back do I have? Cash it in, move it over to our investments. It's not so much an automated process, but honestly, that's one process I'm not sure I want to automate. That's one process I enjoy doing, adding it to our investments. I come into Morningstar, update the portfolio in cash. It's a cash deposit. And then over time, I invest it. So that's really it. That's the automation process. Now, what most people fail to do, they set this up or some version of it, and it's working fine, but then they never touch it again. And that's where the mistake comes in. And that's what gets us to the rule of 752, the rule of 857, the rule of 36,036. I know these are crazy rules. So let's talk about that. The rules are simply to show us just how powerful saving and investing small amounts of money are. The rule of 752 actually comes from Mr. Money Mustache. That's where I heard it. I think I mentioned in the video on FIRE, Financial Independence, Retire Early, that I interviewed Pete on my podcast, like 7 years ago. And I think we talked about that rule in that episode. But the idea was this: if we can reduce our spending, but then save that money and invest it, how much will we have after 10 years? And so let's imagine that we get, I'll just pick on lattes, it doesn't matter what it is, but we get a latte every day of the week, at $4 a latte, whatever, and we decide we're not going to eliminate that, but we're going to cut back. And so instead, we're going to maybe not get a latte, 3 days a week. That saves us $12. If we do nothing, we just stop going to Starbucks 3 days a week, that $12 is going to get spent somewhere else. We may not even know where it goes. But that's the point of automation. If you make a decision to save some money, once you have your automated system set up, you can go in and in this case, maybe simply increase how much you're contributing to your 401k at work by $12 a week. Or you figure out what that is per paycheck. It's not a lot of money. I'll grant you that. But over time, it turns into a big pile of cash. And let me show you. Let's move over to the spreadsheet. I told you this was a really simple spreadsheet, and it is. Let's first talk about the numbers. 752 is if you multiply an amount of money you can save each week. Say again, you get rid of 3 lattes, that'd be $12. If you multiply that by 752, the result is how much you would have saved after 10 years at 7%. I sort of modified that rule, and I picked 9.3%. Now, I picked that not because we can guarantee that that's going to be the return, and some would say that's too high, but because long range, if you look at Vanguard data going back 100 years, 9.3% is the average return on an 80-20 portfolio. So that's why I picked that. And so that's 857. One of the things it shows us, though, more important than 7% versus 9.3% versus some other number, is just how big a difference small changes in the return make to our wealth. And that's particularly true when you're evaluating fees that you get charged for your investments. So keep that in mind when we look at some numbers in just a minute. And then the rule of 36,036 is what you would have after 45 years. Now, if you're 55, you're thinking, Rob, I'm not sure that's applicable to me. Fair enough. But if you're 25 and you're watching this video, or by the way, if you're 55 and you know someone who's 25 that should watch this video, please send it to them. That's going to become really important. Okay, enough chit chat. Let's get to some numbers. So I mentioned, let's just do one day. Let's just say you cut out one latte a week at $4. What would you have? Well, the rule of 752 after 10 years, you'd have $3,000. You'd have a bit more, 3,400 at 9.3% return. 45 years, you'd have 144 grand. Now, some of you are saying, Rob, but what about inflation? That's, inflation's going to eat away at that. Absolutely it is. But I guarantee you, whatever the number is on an after inflation basis, it's going to be higher than if you didn't save and invest the $4. All right. But you're right. Inflation will eat away at our money even after 10 years, certainly after 45. Still a big number. Now, I mentioned saving and not going to Starbucks 3 days a week. So $12, the numbers jump. They get significant. We're talking about a few lattes a week, $12. What if you save $100 a month? You can shave off that from maybe getting car insurance. It's a little cheaper, and maybe canceling a subscription that you're not using. And so it's $25 a week. These numbers get silly. Over a lifetime of working, it's almost $1 million, right? I have folks that have emailed me that said, they changed their cell phone service, and that saved them $50 a month. They found new car insurance, new life insurance. They refinanced some debt. Some people are saving an extra $250 a month, and those numbers get silly. Whoops, that's a week. Sorry. We'll call it $50 a week. There we go. Still silly. 1.8 million bucks after 45 years. Look, after just 10 years, you got around 40 grand depending on your return. Look, the key is that small amounts of money invested over time turn into piles of cash. That's true if your return ends up being different than what I've assumed in this spreadsheet. I get it, but here's the real key. You need to incorporate this into your automation with your finances. If you figure out a way to save some money, make sure you then go into your automation system that you've set up and save it some way. You could be increasing what you save to your online savings account. You could be increasing your 401k contributions at work, or maybe your contributions to an IRA or taxable account. Put it to good use. One thing I didn't talk about is debt. Maybe initially you take that savings and you apply it to a high interest rate credit card. That's great. Either way, you're accelerating the time, you're accelerating building wealth, you're accelerating your time to financial freedom. That's the key. That's what most people miss about automating your finances. It's really not, this is the secret. It's not really about simplifying anything or convenience. Yes, those are side effects. Those are positives. No, if you do it right, it's about building wealth. So there you go. That is my take on automation. I will leave links to everything I talked about in the descriptions below. I'll even leave a link to this spreadsheet. You won't be able to change it, but you can make a copy of it and, experiment, figure out what you could save and what it might mean to your future wealth 10 years from now or even 45 years from now. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I will do my best to help you out. And until next time, remember, the best thing money can buy is financial freedom.